Hello and welcome to Refuse. As always, I'm Plume Noir. I'm a little late. It's Thursday. I know New Comics Day was yesterday, but to be honest, I've actually been working. We got some stuff going down at work, and I've been putting in a lot of hours, and I have not even been to the comic shop yet. So I took a look at what came out this week and what I knew I did not have in my pull list already. And as you can see, I'm at work right now. Excuse me. I'm in the lab, so you'll hear the switches and stuff going off. The fans kick on, so just ignore that. It has more of a hollow sound right now. So I decided I'd see what would not be on my pull list that came out this week, and I saw Captain Marvel: The End came out. Now, if you're not familiar, this is something that Marvel started oh goodness, I think they originally did this, it has to be 20 years ago by now, at least in the early 2000s, where they did what was supposed to be, the final story. They did I think they did X-Men The End, I remember that one, and I think they did Wolverine The End, supposed to be the final story. But it's like anything else. We know that that's never the case. It's always just an alternate reality. So it's really hard to get into these stories because they end up just being what ifs. And they're based on what the comic is going on right now and how they predict it will go from this point in time, if you understand what I'm saying. For example, if you go back and read X-Men The End, you'll realize that it would not work these days. So it's a divergent path, and so yeah, it's basically a what if. I never really got into the whole The End thing. So having said that, I figured I'd take a look at this, and because basically these all end with the characters dying, because obviously it's supposed to be the last story. Think about the movie Logan. That is Wolverine The End. Okay, technically I know it's loosely based off Old Man Logan, but you know what I mean. It's the last Wolverine story in the Fox universe of Marvel X-Men movies. So I figured I'd take a look at this, and I went to Comixology, and I always talk about how much I hate Comixology, and I really do. So I got my tablet here, and this is one of the things I do like. Here is Carol. She's in her energy form. Let me just turn off my flash here. It won't really make much of a difference. This is one of those times that the art actually benefits from being read on a tablet. The lighting actually really makes this pop out. She's got her kind of human face, and it's a very striking cover, and it looks much better on a display like this than in print. This cover is the best thing about this comic. That's all I have to say. I'll come to that at the end. So basically, speaking of the end, this is the final Captain Marvel story. The final Carol Danvers story. So, it's Carol Danvers. It's current day Carol Danvers, written by Kelly Thompson. And Kelly Thompson, as you know, I've said she can be a good writer, she can be a bad writer. Sometimes she tries to be funny, sometimes the jokes land, sometimes they don't. This story, however, tries not to be funny, which is good. It does the typical humor that you see in her books, how everyone loves one another and everything, and there's some goofy interactions between her and Spider-Woman. But anyway, let's just go into the story. We have Carol. She's out in the middle of space. It is 2051, 30 years in the future. And we see that, kind of similar to how Carol was once binary. She's got this super energy form. She's gone Super Saiyan. And I kind of wish it was more binary looking. That would have been really cool. It would have been a nice callback. But no, it's basically, she almost looks kind of like the White Phoenix in this. And so she saves some aliens from the Brood. And, says how she's Captain Marvel from Earth. And I don't know, worshipped as a god here, I guess, because that's what Captain Marvel is. And so she goes back to her spaceship, and she's reminiscing. It just so happens to be reminiscing about what would be this point in time in the Avengers membership, more or less. She's got Rhodey over there, and you know, I don't know if this is kind of like a nod to the MCU, but her pager goes off. Avengers assemble, because she has really good pager service in space, and she's so surprised she picks it up and drops it. Now, it makes you wonder, who else pages her? Does she just have her number posted everywhere, and if you need her, you give her a page? Okay, fine. That makes sense, I guess, maybe. I don't know how she spends her time. But she sees Avengers assemble, and she freaks out. My God, they can't be alive. They can't have survived. Which is funny, because if you're reading the current Captain Marvel book, she is tasked with killing the Avengers. Now, I know, I've mentioned before, she's not really killing them. But this is Captain Marvel, and, well, she's already killed Tony Stark, so, of course she's shocked when people that she's possibly killed her paging her. It's like the call is coming from inside the house. So she reminisces a little bit about how she got a call while she was in a different galaxy and to come back to Earth, but she gets back to Earth and she's too late. The Earth is fallen and she just left. Everyone she thought was dead. But she apparently didn't look too hard, because it just so happens that there is a small group of humanity alive, and they all just happen to have a connection to Carol. They're either her friends or the children of her friends. Just perfectly coincidental. Maybe there are other bands of humans still alive, and maybe Carol didn't look too hard because she didn't really want to find them. So she goes back to Earth and finds it looks like something from the Day After Tomorrow, I think was the movie. Or also that Twilight Zone episode where the woman is dreaming that the Earth is getting too close to the sun, but it turns out she's just really sick, and it's her fever making her think that the Earth is actually moving away from the sun, it's freezing over, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. So anyway, let's just move on, because this whole story is kind of stupid. She goes back to Earth, and she finds, like I said, her friends and the kids of her friends. We got Rogue's and Gambit's daughter. We got Emma Frost, Jessica Drew's kid, which is weird that he would wear his mom's shirt. Okay, maybe clothes are rare in, the post-apocalyptic future. And yeah, we have more people like Fuse and everything, and it took me a minute to remember who Fuse even was. I'm like, oh yeah, Kate Bishop's boyfriend, West Coast Avengers guy. And so it turns out that there is a monster on the surface. Now the surface is completely irradiated, so Hazmat has to go out, absorb all the radiation, and shoot it out into space. And that's the only way they can go to the surface for a little bit, and it's really hard on her, and it's stupid. And here it is, she's shooting that off into space. And, at this point, I'm not quite sure, because it seems like they're safe underground, but there's this monster on the surface that's attacking things. Just this one monster. It doesn't look like there's any type of other life that could support this monster. What's the ecosystem like up there? But the monster's already killed some of this ragtag group of survivors. And so, Carol, can you help us kill the monster? Okay, it's such a boring plan. Oh yeah, by the way, Jessica Drew's still alive, and, this panel, I imagine they had to redraw this, so they would remove the passionate kiss, because everyone else seems to be pretty much gay on this, except for, the kids of, like Clint and Natasha and stuff like that, but yeah, we get to see the final embrace of Jessica Drew and Carol Danvers. So, let's go up and fight this giant ice armadillo thing. Yay. And it's kind of stupid. It shoots some type of radiation, which makes you wonder that they have to go into it using Fuse by touching Carol's skin, which is energy, and he could absorb its properties, but if it's energy, can he touch fire and absorb it, or how exactly does that work? Comic book science, whatever. Oh, and Rogue's daughter also can touch her and get the powers, which is really funny because there's a line in here. I just gotta find it where when she gets blasted, she says, "Oh yeah, I shouldn't underestimate it. If it were easy to take it out, they would have handled it already. Not a one of them is a slouch." Okay, Carol, you've known these people for about 5 minutes. Okay, yeah, just because they're the kids of someone, powerful or whatever. Clint and Natasha, Hawkeye and Black Widow, they don't really have powers. So, yeah, I don't think they would have been taking it on head on. And you just met Rogue and Gambit's kid, and you don't quite know that she has their powers. You don't know these people, so I wouldn't say that, they're a slouch, or there could have been a thing where the radiation took all people's powers, or most of them, because Armor still has her stuff right here. But yeah, there's making some assumptions there. I can't help but notice, and so basically, she is going to just have them eat them up, and then they're going to blow them up from the inside. It's so basic, it's kind of an afterthought. It really is. You would think that the issue would end with that. So I'm going to slide this over for a minute because I actually kind of suck at Comixology and getting to the right page when I pull up the whole, when I need to skip a few pages, I want to go to a page. But it turns out that this is so stupid. This is so freaking stupid. So Carol Danvers gets there. The planet is covered with ice since the last time she saw it. And, she goes up. She knows it's covered with radiation because Hazmat has to save them by, absorbing the radiation, shooting it into space to give them just a little area that they could, live in. And then we get this great thing. Actually, the panel zoom in might be great for this. So they're just having dinner, and after a while, it's just casually dropped. That thing isn't the problem. I mean, yeah, sure, it was a problem, a big one. But even with Hazmat clearing the radiation, it's just way too cold out there. The sun's dead. Or dying, at least. Oh, okay, so the sun is dying. Now, the sun should still have, hundreds of thousands more years to live in it. And okay, it's a Marvel Universe. Things are a little bit different. Okay, the sun is dying. That's a problem. But it was just kind of like brought up like, okay, you would casually mention like, oh yeah, it's my car needs new brakes. I mean, my brakes still work, but they're a little bit squishy. I don't want to take it too far, go for really long drives. Maybe just, run to the supermarket or whatever until I have a chance to get the brakes checked out. No, the sun dying is pretty darn important. You would think when she got there, they say, yeah, we got a big monster, but the sun dying is the more important thing. Because we're trapped down here in the underground. That thing's up there, but it won't matter anyway because the sun is going to kill everything by dying. Alright. So, Carol Danvers. And what they should have done was wrote this as a redemption story. Because Kelly Thompson just basically rips off Final Night from DC Comics, which was where Hal Jordan, when he became Parallax, before they even came up with the whole fear bug aspect of the emotional spectrum, it was still just Hal Jordan, mad with power, and he regretted what he did. He had a chance to redeem himself by reigniting the sun after the Sun Eater was killing it. It's basically what this is. But the sun is just dying. We don't know why the sun is dying. It's way too early for a star to die like that. So that would have also been an interesting story. Instead of going in with this whole monster thing, they should have gone full in. Kelly Thompson should have gone, maybe not Sun Eater, but something was draining the sun. You could do something without completely ripping off Final Night, because this is pretty much ripping off the ending anyway. You could do it as a homage to it. And then Carol has to reignite the sun, which is what she does. She flies into the sun. They try to talk her out of it, but no, she can't be happier. She gave them a second chance. She wasn't there to save them the first time when they called her, but now she is. Well, Carol, maybe if you stuck around and looked for survivors, they wouldn't have had to call you back. But so she reignites the sun, and then we get this god-awful scene. So they're standing there. Hazmat's, I guess, cleared out some area of radiation for them. You really think we'll be able to tell right away if it works? Absolutely. No, absolutely not. You see, the sun is, 93 million miles away from the Earth. And it takes sunlight, if I recall, roughly 8 minutes to get to the Earth. From the sun to that. You're not going to be able to tell immediately, right away. You'd be standing out there for about 8 minutes. And if it's as cold as they're saying, they better have really bundled up. And so they'd be sitting there. Have you ever waited in line and then you looked at your watch? It seems to take forever. And then you look at, you check out your phone. Who wears watches anymore? And you see that only 5 minutes has passed. Now imagine you're standing on a cold rooftop that the radiation could be just coming back at any moment. And you're just waiting for the sun. Oh, wait, there it is. And yeah, my God, it worked. She actually did it. Now, there are so many problems with this. As we've seen with this world, it's covered with ice. It's covered with radiation. She may have saved the sun, but what about the radiation? Hazmat's not going to be around forever. It just seems like she just bought them a little bit of time. And here's my other problem with this. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of life left. The flora and fauna are probably, as you can see from this, pretty toast at this point. There's maybe 20 survivors left, between 12 and 20. We don't know if they showed them all. Why wouldn't Carol just put them on her spaceship and fly them away? It would be much easier to relocate these survivors, because it's kind of insinuated that just so happens that the last survivors on Earth are all people who are connected in some way to Carol Danvers. Why not just put them on her ship and fly them somewhere? Take them to one of the other planets. That one where she saved the brood? She knows that place is safe. Take them there. There's a lot of places in the Marvel Universe and other galaxies that can support human life, that they can eat the food. It won't be like a Mass Effect situation where they can't eat Solarian food or Krogan food. Yeah. This was Carol just killing herself for no reason. At this point, if the sun is about to burn out, why reignite it for a dead planet? That's it. It's a stupid sacrifice, and then it just ends there. Yeah. So yeah, this book is dumb. It really is. It's typical of Captain Marvel right now. They're trying to show how she's the greatest, but she doesn't really earn it. Even in this, she says that she fails because she didn't come back. But the thing was, she was on the other side of the universe and she didn't get back in time. Granted, there is some survivor guilt with that. I can understand. That makes more of an interesting story than coming back to fight this ice armadillo. But at least the cover was kind of neat. But the story, something we've seen. This was Final Night, the Marvel version. And, Captain Marvel is not even as interesting as Hal Jordan was in his Parallax. Although there are a lot of similarities now that you think about it. Kind of, driven crazy and, corrupt with power. And, but the difference is DC never tried to make it seem at that point like Hal Jordan was a good guy. He was pretty much the bad guy. And, well, just me going back to that period, I actually liked that version of Hal Jordan. And I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, but I thought that was great. Kind of make him a gray, cosmic character, not good, not evil. Just kind of in that gray morality and, where he's trying to do what he thinks is the right thing. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I could talk about that for a long time, but this is how Jordan's, final night without the emotional connection and sacrificing oneself for no reason. That's what this is. It would have been much easier to just grab these people, as they're all celebrating and, that's my girl. And, just grab them and just take them to another planet. That would have been easier. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm in the lab. I gotta get back to work. I'm going to try and hit the comic shop tomorrow. It might be today now. I don't really know what time it is at the moment, but it might be after midnight. So it might be Friday. So today. And I'll get caught up here. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh, did I rate this? I don't remember what I rated this book. It's bad. It's bad. The cover is the best part. But, I don't think it's horrible enough to go all the way to 6 o'clock. So, I would go with maybe like a 4:30. Maybe somewhere around there. I got ink all over my hands. You see that? Somewhere around 4:30, because it's not a good story. It's just kind of a retread. And for a final, the end story, they could have done so much more. Something far more interesting. It's just a bland story that, of course, she's going to kill herself. She's going to die in some way. The end always, obviously, the end. It's the last story. And in this one, it's still the same boring, bland Captain Marvel that you don't understand why she's so heroic. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.